It's Saturday night at Woodbine Mohawk Park as we get set for 11 races this evening. Beautiful, beautiful conditions this afternoon. The sun was shining. The track should be perfect for tonight's card, which features the open pace, which will go as race number 9. Jeff Bratt's going to be with me for the entire program, and I'm going to bring Jeff in because tonight I wanted to introduce you to It's Saturday Night. He's such a big, beautiful horse, but he's not competing tonight. Tonight, it's the return of his stablemate, Brew Hanover.
And last week, Chad's call, live from Mohawk Park. It's Saturday night. And because that horse is not here, I think it's a bit more of a better betting race because I think it's Saturday night probably would have been the prohibitive favorites when it came to doing some handicapping for this race. But you look at the overall makeup in here, and I kind of point this out a lot. I just don't think there's a real distinct leader in any of the open divisions that we have right now at Woodbine Mohawk Park, whether it's the Open Trotters, the Filly and Mare Open, or the Boys Open that we have taking place here today. Salzburg Victor, obviously victorious last time out, but did miss a week. And then you have this poor Dublin Dasher, a race as well time and time again in this series, and still seeking a breakthrough victory. But obviously that barn is going very, very well. Now, another storyline for today has to be the drop in temperature because yesterday was a gorgeous day here. But unfortunately, as they called for, the temperature is going like this. Just it's going to be very, very cold coming up tonight. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just make sure the horses get as many nice warm-ups in as possible, because I think on nights like tonight, it's difficult. When you have an older horse that needs a nice warm-up, Elisa, it's challenging because obviously you can warm them up a couple of races beforehand, but you know, if they get a little bit cold inside the paddock area and they get back into the swing of things, you know, you want to get them back moving a little bit more. So we'll see which horse look good on the racetrack tonight.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing, like you'd said, it was gorgeous all day today. We lost so much snow, which was really nice to kind of see some grass finally. But yeah, it's not over yet. However, it is the end of February, which means we've made it through the worst of it. And you know, when I was a kid, they always taught you March either comes in like a lion and out like a lamb. So I'm going to say it's going to come in like a lion. Hopefully, we get through a couple of rotten weeks and then we're ready to go for the end of March with some hopeful spring weather. Alrighty, last night, who was the star of the card?
Mr. James McDonald back from vacation, and all I did was win 6, could have won 7, but unfortunately was unable to get up in the Filly and Mare Open, but his day got off to a great start with Vanya, who just got up in the last jump over Western Wish. In fact, if you look at the overall makeup of the races from last night, it was a natural hat-trick for James to kick off the program.
Yeah, this was a new Paul McDonnell trainee. Very impressive yesterday. She beat some nice horses, including Western Wish and L.A. Mickey and even Sorsha Sealster, who rounded out the top 4. And then he comes right back in the second half of the early double with this interesting youngster from the Ben Hollingsworth barn. This is Pelican Bay.
Yeah, a little green, but one thing I was talking about this with Chad on the drive home last night. One thing I find with James is he's still able to teach horses something while winning at the same time.
That's true, yeah.
And was a little bit green down the stretch, but got the victory nonetheless. This was a really easy win. Madam X was just simply too tough in this bunch. Good clocking, too, 152.
And she's been taking on the boys as well in the pop-up series. And then, of course, last night she goes in against her own sex, and she has no problem defeating the girls. That was race number 3 on the card. Then he let some other people win race number 4, but he came right back in race number 5, a trotting event. And this was a horse that he was sitting behind for the first time in a while. This was Kama, and they had taken the trotting hobbles off of this horse, so he went free-legged last night for a nice win.
And Chris Rogers usually drives the horse, but James was named, and anytime you get James in the bike, that's obviously a pretty good thing to see. And then we're going to fast forward a little bit later on in the program to race number 8, and this might have been the performance of the night. Let's enjoy. Just continues to impress here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Last quarter, Lisa, in 26-1.
And that's her 5th win in a row since coming here to North America, so she's been very, very impressive now. A perfect 5 for 5. Now, the Open, we let Bob McClure win that one with Angostura Hanover. But then the Seclusion, who was the free square on the card last night, everybody thought she would dominate, and she did. But I was really surprised with the return, $3.70.
Really good price on her. Came home with the last quarter in 29 seconds, but was kind of geared down a little bit in there. Beat one more bet and Miss Dutton, so Seclusion gives Mr. DuPont a victory on the program. And in fact, overall, he had a very good day at the at the office with a couple of wins. But here's a look at the big race from last night, the Philly Mare Open. And I got to give Angostura a lot of props for this performance because Angostura Hanover, last time out, Lisa was able to have that ground-saving trip. Last night, Bob had to go first up with this horse.
And I wasn't aware that last start out was her very first win against Open Company. I thought she'd won the Open before, but now she's doing very well. She's won it now twice in a row. Last start, last night, you got $15.90 if you backed her because everybody was playing the Jackie Moe horse Absolution. So a great night last night for James McDonald as we welcomed him back home here to Canada with those 6 wins. The Cullens obviously having a good night. They won a couple of races. Same with the DuPont Barn. Favorites did well on the program last night. And we have that carryover for the Jackpot High Five, very close to $50,000. 11 races in store for you this evening, and we do have the open pace as usual. That'll go as race number 9 on tonight's card, but first we'll get started in the opener where we kick off the $75,000 guaranteed pick 5. First race on the program tonight, Jeff, is for 5-year-olds and younger. Non-winners are 3 or 62.5 life with a big field of 10. Can the Cullens kick off the night with a win with Blue Bar?
I think they can, and one thing that Travis has done a lot over the last 3 or 4 weeks is he's changed tactics with some horses, and it's paid off in a big way. And they did that last time with Blue Bar. So traditionally when you think of Blue Bar, you think of the horse being more forwardly placed more often than not. But last week what they did is they brought the horse from off the pace. And what's amazing about this performance and the replay that we're going to show you right now is I can't remember the last time that I saw a horse in the month of February come home the last quarter in 25 and change. That is something you see in July, in August, but you rarely see it when it's this cold and the track's maybe not at its prime. And essentially here we sweep the field, and I just think this opens up so many opportunities here tonight. Now I do kind of wish that he had drawn a little bit better here tonight, but clearly he's really good right now. He's been in this classification in the past and had some success. This is going to be a real race in which Travis has to plan this out to see how it's going to go with the outside draw. You've got others in this race that have drawn a little bit better, but just look at this horse moving late in this mile to get up to pull off the victory in here. And always takes money, Lisa. Always a bit of a fan favorite around these parts as well. If you're looking for some others in the spot, Long Shot Panic looks really good on paper. The problem with Long Shot Panic is this is a 5-year-old, and guess how many races this horse has won? 2. That's it, 2. And last time out was able to finish in the 3rd place position, losing by just about a half a length, and against Century Lucifer, so no shame in losing to that one by any means. Century Lucifer went down the road last time out, took a ton of money on that day, and was able to wire the field. They might try to do exactly the same thing. And maybe the main danger for Blue Bar is the outside horse, but I just, post 10 just always...
Yeah.
I rarely go to post 10 unless I think they're an absolute, going to be a long shot without chance, or they're just look so much the best on paper that they're going to be able to pull off the victory.
Well, the last time Blue Bar actually had the 9-hole, they did send him.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the plan's going to be tonight. I thought maybe Trinidad could be a horse that you could take a look at too, because he was second with a great final quarter too, 26-2 for him.
Yeah.
In behind Arby's Tenacious T, who you're going to see tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, he is kind of been the Saturday night's horse. You know, he keeps on winning. I think he's at 5 or 6 in a row.
Sort of like the Let's Enjoy of the Saturday nights. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
But tonight, I think that streak could be in danger. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. So here's the selections. It's a clean sweep for Blue Bar to kick off the opener on the program, which also starts off the $75,000 guaranteed pick 5. We're going to flip ahead to race number 4 on tonight's program, 4th race. Non-winners of 9,000 in their last 4, and you have a field of 10 in this spot. This features some good old horses. I mean, you got Cold Creek Queso, who had been competing in the Open. He's had some issues where they've had to scratch the horse because of weather, so he's missed some time here and there. But in against non-winners of 9,000 in the last 4, he should be able to get this one done and get a nice win with this tonight. But Uncle Shank could be a problem, and Miraculous Desby too, from the DuPont barn. We already talked about that barn. They had a good night last night on the program with a couple of wins. Gets the 9-hole here to work with this evening. But Cold Creek Queso on his best night, he should be able to beat this group.
That's the key, though. Is he at his best right now? And I just don't know, because I thought Jody gave the horse a perfect drive last time out and loomed into contention and kind of flattened out. Loose Panic was able to get up in the last jumper. Look at that replay a little bit later on in the program. As a matter of fact, Jack Panic finished at second place position. Cold Creek Queso, I'm terrified of. I just don't want to play the horse at a low number. That's why I am going to go towards Uncle Shank. Uncle Shank lost to a tropper last time out, 2 in Poseidon Sealster. That's very, very tough when he can get into that category. And I thought that Uncle Shank raced very, very well. Chantal Mitchell, I feel a little bit bad for her because, she's been off to a slow start by her standards, but the horses, for the most part, have been racing quite well. She's got a bunch of seconds. 28 starts to have 8 second-place finishes. That's a little bit frustrating. That's when you go home and you just bang your head against the wall saying, what's it going to take? So I think the barn is very, very much due. But as we bring back in Elisa in here, the problem that I have with the Miraculous Desby is just the stale date, February the 7th.
Yeah,
that worries
February
me
the
a little
7th.
bit.
Yeah, but the barn is hot right now.
Very true.
I on the Uncle Shank thing, one thing we do know about him is that night that he made the uncharacteristic break back February the 7th, a lot of that was chalked up to him not getting enough time to go out and warm up before the race. And James said, it's just that he just wasn't happy about that. So,
Right.
if we can get him a good warm up, that's really what he needs. And of course, he's, getting a little older. He's 9 years old. You and I both need to stretch before we go for a walk, let
I
alone
need to
going
stretch
for a
when
run.
I'm taking a nighttime pee.
TMI, Jeff.
When you get older, he makes lots of trips to that bathroom. I'll tell you that much.
You might want to get that checked out. But yeah, Uncle Shay. Randy said this last week too. He worked for Chantal, at some points in time, getting young horses ready. And like he said, it's been a tough go so far, but he believes that when they start happening, they're going to start happening in bunches. So we'll wish them all the best of luck here in the 4th race on the program. Lots of 5s, and Jeffy is going towards the 3, that being Uncle Shank. Alrighty, let's head over to race number 6. 6th race. Okay, here's the thing tonight with this race. This is interesting. It's how we kick off the late pick 5. Nominators of 12,000 in their last 4. RB's Tenacious T has had 6 wins in a row. I've been really fortunate to get to watch him win all of these races. He just looks better and better every week, Jeff. But the issue is tonight. He's stepping up.
I know.
And a horse like Jordy N could be a big problem for him this evening. We'll have to see what he's made of, because he's facing some older horses that have a lot of money beside their names and, good wins beside their names. What you're looking at is a horse who's made close to $500,000 from the Maneri outfit. He's coming in off of a 4th place finish behind Pacino Hanover, who again is no slouch. I think it's Jordy N. I put him down as a horse to watch last week. I put a star beside him. I think he's the horse to beat here tonight. But if RB's Tenacious T, this is a horse with a lot of confidence.
I know.
And, we're going to see what he's made of here tonight.
I was really torn between Jack Panic and your horse, Jordy. I didn't know where to go. They last raced against one another, and the only reason why I went towards Jack Panic is I thought he had a bit more of a difficult trip last time, but he had to go first up. Your horse was 4th over on that occasion. And we'll show it to you right now, as a matter of fact. This is a brutal beat for Jack Panic. Just so tough. Lou's World just absolutely rips his heart out late in this race. But here we are now. We're going to come up first up in here, and Get Wings is kind of at this portion of the proceedings. And here we go with Jack Panic. And this Osceola Barn, they had a good night last night. Now, this was a bit of a surprise result with Jack Panic, though, too, because don't forget, he was 19-1 in this particular event last time out. And right now we're up front, and here comes, keep an eye on Elisa's horse, the one, this being Jordy on the far outside, who is absolutely flying too. And Lou's World's in between. Lou's World gets remotivated by your horse in here. If you see the replay in here, because Lou World comes back on in here as soon as he sees your horse on the outside. Look at this tough beat of the horse on the inside.
Oh, I know.
It reminded me a little bit of Western Wish last night.
Yep.
Gets picked off desperately late. So I think more than anything, and obviously it happens a lot when you handicap these types of races, trip is going to be of the most importance in this field. Who can engineer that type of trip? And maybe you and I, we're not giving RB's Tenacious T enough credit. Maybe he can move up in class and win yet again. I'm just worried about being overbet a little bit.
And he's
'Cause
facing seasoned vets.
He is, and he's so good right now. And at some point, he's going to have a bad day at the office, and maybe it'll be tonight, but he might just have egg absolutely exploding on our face with a victory here tonight.
Yeah, he's been super, super cool. Listen, even if he grabs a check here tonight, they got to be really proud of what this horse has been able to accomplish. Jordiana, top selection for myself and Garnet. Kevin Plouch is going another direction. He's going towards the 6. Get Wings, interesting selection here as Jameson gets back behind this one. Jack Panic for Jeff, who comes in off of that heartbreak back on February the 21st. Let's go to the 7th. Alrighty, we bring Chad in on the Friday night program so we can talk about, qualifiers and what he's seen in qualifiers from the Friday. And he brought up a horse who qualified on February the 21st called Continuum. We watched that replay last night, and we are hopeful that this one will show us something special here this evening. He's actually listed at 7-2 morning line. Liquid is the horse who's been installed as the morning line favorite, and Liquid, I think, is due. I mean, this horse got in behind that McElroy, Jeff, and you saw him. He's like a dinosaur horse. He is an absolute Tyrannosaurus Rex when you see him out there. I think Liquid has a great opportunity to win tonight, but Continuum is a horse that caught Chad's eye.
Right, and we're going to take a look at that qualifier one more time in case you did miss it, because it was something else. The horse obviously was well prepared last season, it appeared, and didn't make it to the races, and now it's getting back into the swing of things in here. But here's a look at the replay for you right now. I just thought that Continuum was a little bit more polished than what Louis the Legend was on this particular occasion. So let's take a look at these two horses right now. So right now, getting to the front is our horse, being Continuum, who's just, I think, is a little bit more professional here. Way on the far outside, that's Paul McKenzie with Louis the Legend. Horse comes home really nice, as a matter of fact, in here, but just a little bit green, I thought. Whereas look at Nick Boyd in here, just quiet as a mouse right now, and I think he's very, very happy with the qualifier in here. I don't think the field, other than Liquid, has come up, super, super tough in this spot. So I think that Continuum based on that qualifier, and I like the. We're going to show you the run out in here. This horse isn't slowing down on the run out either.
No.
Just keeps on going, and I love that too. No tiredness at all. Everybody else is kind of easing up a little bit in here, but Continuum to me looks really good. And I was just talking to Chad about this the other day, about the pedigree with this horse. The horse actually had a really nice mare, and yet they didn't pay a ton of money for this horse either. So hopefully they found a bit of a diamond in the rough. Dr. Pete Johnson owns Angostura Hanover, so he's obviously on a bit of a high right now. So hopefully this one can keep that roll going in here. But I am terrified of Liquid for sure. And that horse, just a little bit more seasoned than what our horse is. Elisa, I've gone towards Continuum. You've gone towards whom in this
I
spot?
went to Liquid tonight.
Okay.
I think the issue for Continuum is, you look at that, the mare made a ton of money, right?
Yep.
And then the horse is purchased at the Harrisburg sale for not a lot. Let's say it's about roughly 10 G's. And then missed the 2-year-old year. So, there has to have been something going on. Maybe the horse needed some time just to grow and develop. But here he is making his debut tonight as a 3-year-old. We'll be looking for that. Now, I also tossed in 10 Carat Garrett. You know why? That was a heartbreak of a loss for him last start out.
Number.
He was at almost 50-1. It was a photo finish, and Sable Ambush got the better of him. But I hope he learned something out of that. He's been picking up pieces here and there, whether it's here or at Flamborough. He's got to be considered a player in the top 4.
And I would give My Leading Man a bit of a mulligan for that last start. The draw was absolutely impossible. Doesn't get a whole lot better here tonight, but I still think this horse got some ability as well.
Yeah, and that broken equipment line that he has from the 14th, that was a Murphy that broke on him. So, legit problem, I think, for a youngster when that piece of equipment is just kind of hanging around. So race number 7, again, tonight we'll see some maidens competing in that event as we go to race number 9, which is the on-track feature for the night. This is the open pace, 40 G's on the line, and it is the return of Brew Hanover, the stablemate of Dave Mineri. He's going to give it Saturday night a break this week. He's been performing, so well as of late, and it's kind of neat to have this embarrassment of riches when you have 2 really awesome open horses in the same outfit. And it's Brew Hanover who's on the comeback. Hasn't raced since Valentine's Day, since February the 14th. So, I guess the question mark is he tuned in and ready to go tonight? I'd have to think so from the barn he's coming from. But we saw such a great effort last week from both Pacino Hanover and Dublin Dasher. These 2 Cullen horses raced huge last week in the Open, and it wouldn't surprise me if one of them was able to kind of squeak themselves into the winner's circle. Same could be said for Salzburg Victor. You know, I love this guy. You know, he kind of shows you his cards when he's out there on the track. When he goes to the front, Jeff, and he has his tail right up in the air, you're like, he's saying, you ain't going to get past me. And that's what he did when he won the race on Valentine's Day, winning the Open. Did you go to Brew or did you go elsewhere?
I went Brew, but my thinking was when I was doing my handicapping, I think his A-plus game is better than anybody else's in this field, but is he at his A-plus right now? He might be at a B-plus right now, you know? So I've gone with him. I looked long and hard at Dublin Dasher, you know, really good right now. But the replay that we're going to focus in on is going to focus in on both Cullen horses that you spoke of in here, because Dublin Dasher had the pocket, whereas Pacino Hanover came from left field in this race. And Pacino Hanover came home with a sub 26 second last quarter as well. So here to look on the inside of racers in this spot. I don't believe this is the right replay. So we'll have to get the right replay here.
Nope, this is RB's Tenacious T. I can tell you that because I'm such a big fan.
Here we
go.
This is the right replay. There you go. See, they're just putting me to the test, that control room there. It's right now in the pockets. This is one by the name of Dublin Dasher, and third over is Pacino Hanover here in this spot. And you know what? It's Saturday night kind of drifts off the rail a little bit, and thus I thought that Dublin Dasher had every chance to go on by, but can't. Meanwhile, look at Eddie Hensley on the far outside. He is going to finish up absolutely full of pace in here with Pacino Hanover. I mean, Saturday night is so tough to get by.
He's a cool dude.
And it's tough. You know, I realize a lot of people say, like, the opening was there, the horse should have gone by. Some horses don't like going by on the inside. They just don't feel all that comfortable with it. And Dublin Dasher is obviously really, really good right now. So this is a very evenly type of field in here. You know what's interesting about Salzburg Victor, though, is January the 31st was on a regular rotation, then misses 2 weeks, has that big race, and they've given the horse 2 weeks yet again here today. And I wonder if maybe they've kind of stumbled onto something right now, thinking, you know what, he had one of the best races we've seen with him on a 2-week rotation. Let's see if maybe that pans out yet again from post position number 1. And the horse that's been a little bit frustrating as of late, and it's because we have such high expectations placed on him, has been Tarasi.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and Tarasi just has not been himself. Every once in a while he shows up with these big races, but the time that we just forget about him, he's going to bite us. And that worries me a little bit. But I did go towards Brew Hanover. What about you?
I did the same thing. And you know, with Tarasi, it's just because we're so used to seeing him dominate the Open.
Exactly.
And he just, so far this year, he's just not the same dude yet. But I'm sure he'll turn on the jets soon enough. Both Jeff and I landing on the 6-horse. And then Garnet and Kevin Plaucher, they're going to take a shot on this Cullen horse, Dublin Dasher. And I can't blame him. Like I said, we showed you that replay. That was a huge final kick from these horses last week in the Open, and they are definitely worth a shot. Alrighty, what else do we have to talk about? What's our next one? Race number 11. Which is the Jackpot High 5, and that's really growing quickly. It's almost $50,000 in the carryover. Now, here, you know, last night you were all over these Osceola horses, and he had a good night.
He did.
But I think he has a great opportunity to win the last race here with moving on over. I'm really happy that you sent in this replay because he was locked in last start out.
Well, truth be told, the reason I did send this replay is because you told me about the race. So this is really an Elisa replay,
Jeff.
not so much as a Jeff replay in here. But moving on over, appropriately named because nobody was moving on over for this horse last time out. And did appear to have some go. And I'm going to show it for you right now. So right now, Dougie's saying, oh boy, where do we go in here? Let's try this path, and maybe we'll get a little bit lucky and we'll get some sort of seam to develop. The problem is the horses in front of him just aren't going all that quickly. So Dougie's like, uh-oh. I can't go left, I can't go right, and I really can't go forward because the horse in front of me's got no go at all. Can I do the split here? No, not really. So the good news is at least we were not overly taxed last week.
Nope.
But I think he probably came back to the barn as a little bit of an upset animal last week.
You might
because
have.
I never got a chance to strut my stuff. And you have that somewhat trouble trip last time out, and you squeeze into a slightly easier spot here tonight as well. So this is an Elisa play. Now, McElroy is clearly the horse to beat in here. We don't know how good he is. He did everything right last time out. He came home nicely. He's a big, massive horse, but we're trying to find a bit of a price play in this spot. And who knows about Sauble Ambush? Did nothing wrong first time out in that
That's
first
true
career
too.
start.
Yep, the Otis Hall trainee, Freight Days a Week. The Doug High Horse had a good second place effort last year out behind Count on Gord, who's a Chris Matthews racer that is very impressive so far. So I did go to moving on over. I have to admit, as soon as we saw that happen back last week, both Randy and I were like, "Oh, circle that one. That's definitely a good one." You did. That's how much I like this horse. I sent the replay. I said, "Jeff, you gotta take a look at moving on over." He was locked in and live.
Yeah.
So we both are going to zoom in on the 7 here in race number 11 to wrap things up on tonight's program. We have some Pick 5 tickets to pass along your way as well. Jeff has done his homework. He's got an early and a late.
And you know what, Elisa? I'm the type of guy that I want to know right off the bat whether I'm going to have some fun tonight or if I should just go home. So I'm putting all my eggs into one basket here with Blue Bar. I just think based on what we saw last time out, based on how the barn's going right now, I'll put this one on top. Let's key that one. And then I'm going to spread a little bit. The second, I've got a whole bunch of horses. I kind of like this Hello Darkness in the second race.
Yes.
You know, that's a 2-time winner, taking on a bunch of horses that are seeking their initial victories for the most part.
Wait till you see him, too. He is jet black.
I was actually just talking with Phil about him last night, and he said he's still trying to get to know the horse a little bit. He hasn't had the horse all that long. Just taking over the training duties with that one. And the third, I got the 5, 6, and the 8s. I didn't. Century Inspector burned me last time out. I find first-time Dougie, they wake up.
It's an interesting move, isn't it?
Up. The 4th, I got Uncle Shank and Coal Creek Queso, and then the 5th, I've got Wallace Hartley and Ginger Finney.
Yeah, you know what? Chantal's got a good shot to win a couple tonight if things turn around her way. What's your late pick?
So my late, my key in the late is going to be Continuum. Yeah, I'm taking a shot with that one. I had to find a key somewhere, and I actually have a key in the 10th as well.
I like your key there. Always be sweetest.
Yeah, in that class, the horses, and that Ron McDonald
This is a hot barn.
Holy smokes, are they ever good right now? I've spread in the 8th. I'm using actually 3 in the open, which is a little bit unusual for me. Like I try to usually use like
I know it's
just
hard to
1
zero
or 2,
in though.
But I kind of couldn't leave anybody off in there. So there's a look at my late pick 5 ticket.
I got a late one too. So I've got Jordienne and what you're looking at in the 6th. Then I keyed Liquid. So you keyed Continuum, I keyed Liquid. And then 8th race, I spread quite a bit. This race is a little more wide open for me because it's nominators at 2,500 in their last 4. I did key Brew Hanover, and then in the 10th race, I went with Forefather. He's an interesting story. I'll fill you in on that one a little bit later on. Always Be Sweetest and Can't Stop Lou from the Tyranny outfit is going to be my last one there. Okay, plays of the night. We had a few of them come in last night. And I was giving you a hard time about one of them, which got $3.70.
Paid not bad, $3.70. And then I was kind of giggling because Lisa left before the last one off yesterday, and her repeat player did not win.
I know. Don't worry. I'm watching in the car, Jeff. You know that.
Here's look at our plays tonight. I'm going to take a shot with this Continuum. Going to be my best bet of the night. My watch lister is Blue Bar based on how well that horse raced in that most recent event. My wake-up prospect in race number 2 is going to be Hello Darkness. I think it's in an easier spot here tonight. And my multi-leg single is going to come up a little bit later on, that being Always Be Sweetest. I'm sure one of these will be good, 2 to 5, and Elise will make fun of me.
No.
When you're picking 4 on a card, it's hard sometimes to
I
find
hear
them all.
you. I hear you. I hope Wallace Hartley gets Chantal Mitchell into the winner's circle. That's a nice little drop and pop for that one. Jordienne, he was on my horse to watch list last week. The Liquid, I've been waiting. I've made him probably one of my best bets a couple of times. So, the minute I take him off will be the minute he wins.
Yeah.
And this moving on over, we showed you the replay, and I even sent Jeff an email, even 5 days ago to say, Jeff, don't forget about this one. Ginger Tree Finney, a top side. This is a neat little horse. I like him tonight, too. He's in the 5th race, 7-2, the price. Jordienne for Ghislaine, and Get Wings for Kevin Plaucho. We haven't talked much about this one, but this horse is at 5-1.
Kevin's sharp, too. I'm curious why he likes Get Wings so much, but I say that a lot about his picks, and more often than not, they race very, very well. And the thing that Get Wings did last time was tried to go down the road, and maybe they tried to change tactics tonight.
Yeah, all righty. Well, we have 11 races in store for you this evening from right here at WOMO. It is Saturday night. Good luck.